Welcome to the Dark Side. I'm Bianca Dark. Today my guest is Jessa York, a romance novelist with over 20 books to her credit. She's been in the business for several years now and has developed a rather unique newsletter strategy that I'm really interested in hearing a little bit more about. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Jessa York. Jessa, I know you have an interesting way of approaching newsletters, and frankly, I can't do the way that you do it, but I'm really interested in how you send out your newsletters and the frequency and the content and all that stuff. Can you just tell us a little bit about the structure?
So I send my newsletters out twice a week. And I know that sounds daunting. But I didn't start doing, right when I first sent out my first newsletter, I didn't, start sending twice a week. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. When I first started sending newsletters, probably 4 years ago, it was like maybe once a month. I never gave much time or energy into newsletters because I don't like newsletters. I don't want your newsletters. Like I think you are awesome, and I think your books are awesome, but I don't want your newsletter. I don't. I just don't. Please never send me a newsletter. So whenever gurus and other authors would say, "Oh, Jessa, you have to work on your newsletter," I was like, whatever, like, ugh, please no. But as the years went on, I was convinced more and more. Okay, I will try this. Then I thought, okay, I'm going to dive into this every 2 weeks. I will send a newsletter every 2 weeks and do newsletter swaps. That's when you contact another author, preferably in your genre, and then you promote one of their books in your newsletter, and they promote one of your books in their newsletter. And so I started doing that, and I started, seeing more and more sales, and okay, I'll do this. And then I thought, it's going fairly well. Let's try every week. So I did that. I think after maybe a year or two after that, I started twice a week. I started doing that because every Friday for the last maybe 3 years or so, I've had a weekly newsletter story. It started with my Christmas story and, maybe 500 to 1,000 words every week. So not quite a chapter. I mean, sometimes it's a chapter, not usually.
So, Jessa, let me ask you right there. I just want to clarify for the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
This is not like a separate short story every week. It's more like an ongoing book, and you're giving them an episode every week. Is that the case?
Sure, you could compare it to, like a serial kind of. Sure, you could do that. It's not a short story. It's a continuing story that later, when I'm finished, I publish as a book. So I've done that with 2 or 3 books now. It's at the end of the year, you just accidentally have an extra book to publish, which is kind of nice.
That's kind of funny.
So
Do you plan it to be the calendar year? Like, do you start in January and finish in December? I mean, how do you plan it like that meticulously?
Bianca's so funny, everyone. Yeah, she knows I plan nothing. She's just asking me.
Well, it sounded like that's what you were doing. So
I plan zero. Yeah. No, but one extra added thing that I've done with my weekly newsletter story is that I call it a choose your own romance. At the end of each episode, every Friday there'll be a question that or a button that they click on, that the readers will click on, and then they get to vote. I'll give them 2 or 3 different choices. They get to vote on what happens next. Readers, they seem to like that. So I've done that for quite a while now, and it's fun. But oh man, it's work. I'm not going to lie. It is a lot of work, but it's fun.
And you do see results from it. You do have this feeling that once you send a newsletter, you do see a rise in sales, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, every time I send a newsletter, I do. Yeah.
Well, I do too, but I'm kind of like in that section that you described where, I was sending like once a month, and now I'm thinking about trying to do it twice a month. I'm doing some round robin stuff, which is similar to the swaps in that, you get together with 12 authors, and every month you share a different person's book in that group, and the group will then share your book. Not explaining that well, but it's like a newsletter swap, except you know exactly who you're going to be sharing with for the entire year. What I'm doing is like one newsletter per month will be that with, whatever announcements I have. And then the second one will usually be like a pre-order announcement or a cover reveal or a new release, because I'm kind of prolific and I publish a lot. So I usually have that kind of news to send. Just breaking in here for a minute to add some context, I should mention that Jessa York is from Canada, and she's the one and only person from Saskatchewan that I actually know, so that might help in reference to what follows.
About 2 weeks ago, I had an announcement that I'll be signing in Banff this year, which is one province over west of me. And so, yeah, I put that announcement in my Tuesday newsletter. And Fridays are my newsletter story newsletter. Like that's what I stick my story in. Oh, and BookFunnel. BookFunnel promos, I try to sign up for at least a few of those. I usually try to do as many as I possibly can. I love BookFunnel. You need some kind of a free book or free excerpt, and then you can join promotions through BookFunnel, and you'll have a bunch of authors, hopefully, who sign up for it. And then it's kind of like one big newsletter swap that, carries through for a week or two or four, sometimes more, not usually though. They sign up, they have to sign up for your newsletter in order to get your freebie. Then you get new newsletter subscribers through there. I really love BookFunnel. I know some people will advise you to only do organic things to get readers onto your list, and that's totally fine. If that is what you are comfortable with, that's great. Don't do anything else. Some people don't enjoy giving out freebies to get that newsletter subscriber. And again, if it's not something you're comfortable with, that's great. There's no absolutes. It's whatever you want to do at the time. You can change your mind, I get my newsletter subscribers from everywhere, every possible place. End of the book, I stick in a link to an extended epilogue because I love epilogues. I probably have 3 epilogues at least for each book that I have. Love epilogues, give me all that. So that, in order for them to read that extended epilogue, they have to sign up to your newsletter list if they want to read it. And they'll want to read it. So that's when people talk about getting organic readers that way, that's what they mean, because they're already warmed up, right? Those readers have read you, they made it to the end of the book, which is a great thing. And so that's probably a subscriber that you'll keep.
Actually, the bonus material is something I'm going to talk about in my next podcast. So thank you for the
okay.
No, thank you for the advertisement. That's great. So you're basically getting readers from everywhere. I got to ask you, do you ever get like complaints about putting out too many newsletters? Do people say you're spamming them? How does that affect your, because I know they always say, oh, don't get too many spam complaints because that's going to mess with your deliverability. Have you noticed anything like that? And have you had that kind of a problem? I'm just curious.
One thing I've done is at the end of your newsletter, when you go in to make your newsletter, at the very, very end, no matter what program you're using, you'll find, unsubscribe here or manage preferences, that little thing at the end. I make that big so that everyone can see it, even me, because if the type's too small, it's not going to catch my eye. So I do make that large because, if people don't want to be on your newsletter list, that's fine. it doesn't mean you've lost a reader. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of authors make. They take it very personally that, oh my gosh, I got an unsubscribe or 10 unsubscribes or whatever, and they're like, oh no, now they don't like me. No, they just don't like newsletters. And you know what? Neither do I. But I still buy books, even though I'm not subscribed to that author's newsletter. And that's okay. Not everybody is going to want your newsletter. So that's one hang up that if you can try your best to jump over and just forget about it, you're going to get those unsubscribes. And as for spam complaints, I've heard that you can be reported as spam just from someone going in and opening up your newsletter that's been sent to their spam
Oh yeah, yeah. If they
inbox,
open it within the
Yeah.
spam folder, I've heard about that. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
that's not their fault that it was sent there and they opened it there, right? So
yeah.
again, try not to take that too personally. But yeah, if you're getting like 1,000 spam complaints every week, hang on, you're probably, you need to tweak something. Of course, you need to keep an eye on these things. Always keep an eye on things like that. Keep an eye on your open rates, keep an eye on your click rates, keep an eye on all of this stuff. But yeah, just try not to stress too much about it.
I actually do have a little thing at the top of my newsletter that says, "Hey, if you don't want to receive these newsletters, please unsubscribe. I understand it's not a big deal." And I like the idea of making the unsubscribe button a little larger and a little easier to see. So that's a really good tip. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the type when you're opening things up on your phone, I don't know about you, but I'm always trying to make things larger. So if I'm trying to do it, I'm sure there's other poor souls who are trying as well. Oh, what we didn't talk about was the website pop-up. Everyone should have a website, right? You should have a website with some kind of way to sign up to your, another organic way to sign up.
Okay, but you're doing a pop-up. See, I don't have a pop-up. Just have a dedicated page on my website that says, here, this is how you sign up for
Exactly.
my newsletter. But
Right.
I
So
know
either one.
a lot of people do pop-ups. I find them annoying personally, and I just
Hmm.
haven't done it. I know that's kind of the conventional wisdom, is to do the pop-up so that people are kind of bombarded with it, like, hey, sign up. And then every time they move around and get rid of that pop-up, it pops up again. But I would assume yours is not set up that way, right?
I believe mine pops up after, I'm not sure, like 4, 5, 6 seconds or something, it pops up. And then, yeah, like you can always click it off. I don't believe it pops up again though if you switch pages.
Yeah, sometimes it does, and that gets annoying. And you're finding you do get people signing up from that?
I do. I
Great.
do, yeah. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So basically, the way you're getting readers onto your list is the pop up on the website, the newsletter swaps that you've been doing, and offering free content, basically from the story, the ongoing story that you're writing. Is there anything I've missed?
There's, yeah, Book Funnel, that's the free content, right? You can do promos on there. Anytime you're on social media, make sure you post that with, anytime I do a takeover or some kind of Facebook party, always post that because yeah, give your readers a chance to get to know you a little better.
So right now, if we were all to go to jessayork.com, is that your website address?
It is.
And we would get the pop-up inviting us to join your newsletter list. Am I correct?
You are correct. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think everybody should do that right now, especially if they're interested in your kind of books. So I just want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for the invite, Bianca. It was so much fun.
Anytime. Perhaps we'll have you back again after you do your signing, and we can pick your brain all about what to do at signings and what not to do, perhaps. Once again, I'd like to thank Jessa York for being my guest today. Little clarification. When we talked about emails being reported as spam simply because they're being opened within the spam folder, I've heard of this. This is something that people talk about, but maybe it's more of an urban legend. I mean, I don't know 100% for certain if that's a real thing, but it is definitely something that everybody talks about as being something they've heard of. Nobody's sure where. And if any of you know for sure, please let me know in the comments. And if you have topics for shows that you'd like me to produce, let me know in the comments. Once again, please hit subscribe, like, do all those fun things so I can keep bringing more content to this channel. Thanks for joining me. I'm Bianca Dark, and I've got a lot of writing to do.